Prison for an Alliance man convicted on a child pornography charge. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, a 29-year-old Alliance man has been sentenced to 17 to 27 years in prison following a Nebraska State Patrol child pornography investigation. In May, Angela Warfield was charged with 6 counts of possession of child pornography and 1 count of manufacturing child pornography, with court documents indicating the charges stemmed from a 4-month investigation with acts involving a 15-year-old. In October, he pleaded no contest to a single Class 1D felony charge of manufacturing visual depiction of sexually explicit conduct, and in exchange for his plea, the 6 child porn possession charges were dropped. On Monday, District Judge Derek Weimer sentenced Warfield to the 17 to 27-year sentence and also required him to register as a sex offender. Well, from Box Butte County District Court to Scottsbluff County District Court now, as a 35-year-old Scottsbluff man who was facing more than a dozen felony drug charges following a multi-year investigation by the Wing Drug Task Force has been sentenced to prison. Marcelino Alvarez pleaded no contest to 7 felony charges, including of distribution of fentanyl and distribution of heroin. Alvarez sold drugs to cooperating individuals making controlled buys for Wing investigators. And also in a separate incident, officers encountered Alvarez in a Scottsbluff apartment parking lot and found more than 700 fentanyl pills on him. Last month, District Judge Leo Dobrovolny sentenced Alvarez to a total of 10 to 16 years in prison, with 82 days credit for time already served. And 9 businesses failed the latest round of alcohol compliance checks conducted in Scottsbluff County last month. According to a release from the Monument Prevention Coalition, 5 of those businesses checked the IDs of those purchasing alcohol, while 4 did not. Businesses selling alcohol to minors include Fresh Foods and Stagecoach Stop in Gering, Marketplace Coffee Company and Quick Stop in Mitchell, and the Elks Lodge, Arthur's Pizza, Fairfield Inn, Panhandle Co-op, and Powerhouse Social in Scottsbluff. Lynette Richards with Monument Prevention Coalition says this is the highest rate of underage sales during a compliance check in nearly 20 years. We'll have more news right after this.
The journey of a dream becoming reality. When we're young, a dream develops into a passion. That passion continues to manifest and grows as you do. It becomes all you want to do and all you want to be. It gives you direction. It drives you. Then your dream has become a reality. When that dream is ready to be reality, Platte Valley Bank will be with you every step of the way.
Life Care promises us that we are looked after and taken care of properly.
If I didn't have Life Care, I would be probably scared to death about having enough money for when I got older or when I got sick.
Moving in here was an easy decision and in fact a no-brainer. I looked at it as actually buying long-term care insurance and in retrospect a good move.
One of the things that convinces me that we did the right thing is no matter what happens, we will constantly be taken care of.
The whole thing is just vital because you don't have to be worried about what's ahead for you. It's there, it's in black and white, and that's reassuring.
This is home. It has been from the day I moved in.
Welcome back. The Scottsbluff Police Department has seen an increased number of scam-related calls, including Scottsbluff Police Department phone numbers and officer names in an attempt for the scammers to convince victims that the calls and texts have validity. Various reasons for the call or text are given, but it always leads to a request for money to be sent in various forms, such as a money transfer or gift cards. Law enforcement agencies will never request money in exchange for criminal charges being dismissed or charge for a service. Do not provide any personal or financial information to the callers, And if you do receive a call like this, hang up the phone and call the communications center. Well, the National Park Service is now in the process of looking for the next superintendent for Scottsbluff National Monument and Agate Fossil Beds. In a news release from the Park Service, Dan Morford will be retiring from the service on December 30th. He's been the superintendent of Scottsbluff National Monument since 2016 and took on the added responsibility of Agate Fossil Beds starting in 2019. Some of Morford's biggest accomplishments at Scottsbluff National Monument were leading the monument through the Centennial Celebration in 2019 and the Visitor Center renovation project through 2020. He was also instrumental in forging a new partnership with Black Hills Parks and Forest Association, the nonprofit cooperating association of both national monuments.
Welcome to Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. Whether you're a wine enthusiast, a whiskey sommelier, a tequila connoisseur, or you just love your beer, Kelly's has the best selection of what you're looking for. Family owned and operated since 1946 and right on 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Come see us today at Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. And remember to be a good neighbor. Don't drink and drive. Kelly's Liquor, West 27th Street in Scottsbluff.
Fly United Airlines, operated by SkyWest with Western Nebraska Regional Airport. United is dedicated to going the extra mile for you with daily flights to and from Denver, along with a commitment to excellent service. Reserve your flight today, and remember, United miles can be earned and redeemed with your flights. While at the airport, stop and enjoy authentic Italian food at Roma Italian Restaurant. Plus, Hertz Thrifty Car Rental is there for your car rental needs. Make life easier, relax, and get on board with Western Nebraska Regional Airport.
Now, sports from the FNBO Sports Desk. FNBO, the great big small bank.
Jason Jorgensen with you as we bring you our final edition of Husker Chat, brought to you by Acres Equipment, and we're joined by the publisher of Husker Online, Sean Callahan. Well, we all saw it Friday, Sean. That's just a tough way for the Huskers to end things under Matt Rule. You've had a couple of days to digest this thing. Overall, your thoughts on year one for Matt Rule?
Yeah, just a up and down year in a lot of respects and so many unpredictable things, kind of what Nebraska football's been in a nutshell the last several years. But starting with Jeff Sims not really working out, I mean, I think that kind of put the season off the tracks. At that point, and they had to figure out their quarterback, and they had injuries at quarterback and then running back injuries. But to lose 3 games by the score of 13-10, all by last second field goals, I just don't know if I've ever seen anything like that ever in any kind of football where a team lost 3 games by identical scores, identical ways. And to have an undefeated October for the first time since 2001, but then to have a no-win November to follow it up. It was definitely a tug of the emotions if you're a Husker fan to have to deal with it. And all the losses, as you know, Jason, were pretty much 1-score losses this year, other than Colorado and Michigan. So, I think an optimistic Husker fans like, this is a 5-7 team that easily could have won 8, maybe 9 games, but here we are trapped in at 5-7.
We are live today with Husker Chat. If you have a question for Sean, you can certainly send that to us, and kind of like our own mailbag this afternoon, and we'll get Sean's thoughts on that. What's the biggest thing you think Matt Rule was able to accomplish in this first year outside of not getting to a bowl? That certainly was one of the big goals.
Well, I think he really does know how to build a program, a culture built for the future. This jumped out to me today. I was looking this up. 12 of the 27 scholarship freshman players saw action this year. I don't know if I've ever seen that many freshmen play. And they're really, really smart how they utilize that 4-game redshirt. Marquise Buford, they kept him at 4 games at safety. And, you know, he played more and more as the season went on down the stretch. You saw them keep Kai Whalen, edge rusher from a JUCO, at 4 games. Then James Williams comes out of nowhere, showed a lot of promise. They kept him at 4 games. So I think they've really developed wisely as far as how and when they decide to play guys. And you know, this is a pretty good team returning next year. I mean, they have a lot of pieces back to build upon, but we know they're still missing some key pieces. They still have some key questions, particularly the quarterback position. What will that look like? Is it not Jeff Sims, excuse me. Is it Chubba Purdy? Is it Heinrich Harburg? Is it a transfer portal guy? What happens to Jeff Sims? I mean, I think that's the number one offseason question right now for Nebraska as they head into the month of December.
Do you think, or have you heard from anyone, do you think Chubba Purdy comes back, and why wouldn't he come back?
Well, there's a couple things in play there. Number one, Chubba Purdy does graduate, or is expected to graduate in December. So he's eligible to transfer again if that's the case. If he was not a graduate, this is his 4th year of college. If he's not a graduate, he wouldn't be able to transfer. So, you know, that's why it's in play potentially at that point. And I think a lot of it is who is the transfer portal quarterback if they get one? Who is it? If it's like a no-brainer guy that, you know, looks like he's got a clear road to the job, you know, how will they present that with Chubba? And how will Chubba look at that? And Chubba's having surgery on his growing that we think that you know, is expected to. So I think there's some of that as well with his future that we just don't know the answer to.
In our next couple of minutes, as we talk to Sean, if there's something you'd like to ask Sean, you can type that into us. We do have a viewer question here. They say, they ask, does Rule make any changes to his staff? Well, he might have to if Tony White, his defensive coordinator, leaves. What's your read on that situation at this point?
Yeah, there's kind of 2 obvious ones to watch. Tony White, defensive coordinator, has been, you know, Matt Rule's been contacted by a search firm and fielded questions about White. You know, San Diego State and Syracuse are the 2 jobs that he could potentially be a candidate for. You know, the other one is Josh Martin, the tight ends coach. He's an interim head coach that stepped in for Bob Wager. Wager was fired in the summer. So will Martin be elevated to full-time, or will they go in a new direction at tight ends coach? But White is obviously the biggest one to watch because the defense did so well at times in year 1 under Tony White, and they return a lot of guys back. And Matt Rule has said it's got to, you know, if you're Tony White, you got to make sure if you do take a head coaching opportunity, it's the right head coaching opportunity. And that's the $1 million question. Is Syracuse or San Diego State, if they offered him the job, is that the right opportunity that he would want to take?
If he were to leave, do you think there'd be some assistants that might follow him, and could there potentially be some players to follow him?
I have a hard time seeing it like that. I mean, number one, the assistant coaches on that staff are more tied to Matt Rule than Tony White. Rob Dvorak played for Rule. Terrence Knighton played for Rule, has worked with Rule. Evan Cooper is Matt Rule's right-hand guy. So I think a lot of those guys that are already on the defensive staff, they're more Matt Rule guys that Tony White's working with. Now, White brought a couple of GAs and analysts with him, and, you know, who knows? But Tony White's got a deep years of experience. I've heard nothing, though, Jason, that leads me to believe he's the leading candidate. I mean, I think naturally as Husker fans, we think everyone, I mean, we just think Tony White's, it's a foregone, but I've not heard one say that he's emerged as the leading candidate. He's just a name of several names for these jobs right now. So we'll see where that goes.
How wild could this month of December be on the roster front?
Well, right now, this week, Monday through Thursday, it's player meetings. We're in a recruiting dead period. So coaches can't go on the road. They can't host recruits. All this next 4 days is coaches meeting with their teams, finding out who's in, who's out, and whatnot. Then on Friday, the 1st of December, it begins a 16-day evaluation period. So you can go out on the road and you can host recruits on campus. So it's going to get hot and heavy. The transfer portal opens on Monday, December 4th, a week from today. That's the other mile marker. You're going to see a lot of players, though, declare their intentions to enter the transfer portal before Monday, and that's already been happening here already this week.
Before I let you go, we have another question coming from YouTube. What surprised you the most about this season, good or bad? I know you were surprised just like everybody else was with all of the injuries.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things were surprising. I mean, Jeff Sims is where I'd start. Like, just how disappointing that ended up being for Nebraska, that he wasn't the guy. But again, just how closely contested the games were in the Big Ten. I look at Nebraska's 7 of Nebraska's 9 conference games. The point spread was between 1 and 7 points. I mean, that is how close this group of teams is. I'm looking at our front page here what the final lines were. They were obviously a 17.5 point underdog to Michigan, and they were a 10.5 point favorite to Northwestern, which I'm not sure that would be the case if those two teams would play right now. But every game this year, the lines were 3-1, 3-2, 7, 2.5. So just the margin, it's that much. And Matt Rhule said it this year. Every one of these games comes down to 1 or 2 key plays, and that's what happens when the spreads are that tight every week.
And you've got to look at that. You can either be glass half full or glass half empty. To me, they certainly made some progress, and they have to feel they're not that far off, especially if they can get the quarterback position fixed.
Yeah, the quarterback position's big. Is it Chubba Purdy? Is it Heinrich Haarberg? Is it somebody else? And that's what we don't know. And that somebody else, you'll still have to come in and win the job. And that was kind of, and I don't call this a mistake by Matt Rhule, because last spring those guys weren't healthy. Casey Thompson was out. Logan Smothers was out. Chubba Purdy was limited at times last year. So there really was no way in the spring to stage a competition for Jeff Sims, for him to be the guy. And I think that's kind of what you have to go back to. And it's hard in August to like keep a competition going. You'd like to kind of know where you're at when fall camp opens.
Got another question here. When do the renovations at Memorial Stadium begin?
Well, the preliminary dirt work and just kind of things outside are expected to begin in the spring. Nothing major structurally, though, just kind of surveying work. Then following the 2024 football season, that's when the heavy lifting is expected to begin. Now, the better question is, how close to the money are they in terms of what they need to raise from outside funds? I believe it's $225 million they need to come up with. How close are they to that number? And can, they've said they won't begin this project until the money is accounted for. And this is a major project. I mean, they say it's 450, but a lot of people you talk to say it's going to go well over $600 million, which that's 4 times what the Go Big project is. And the Go Big project's been the largest project Nebraska's ever done on its campus.
All right. Well, we'll see how it all shakes out. Sean, as always, we appreciate you being here all season long, and we look forward to next year as well.
Thanks, Jason.
You bet. That was Sean Callahan, the publisher of Husker Online, joining us for Husker Chat. Once again, we want to thank Acres Equipment, once again, sponsoring our shows throughout the season. This is Jason Jorgensen saying so long.
Logos in Gearing is the place to get all of your school spirit gear, personalized gifts, and promotional items for your business and employees, and banners for any special event. Logos is also the only place to stop for custom screen printing or embroidery. You can even design it yourself on their interactive website. Stop into Logos today. They'll design it, print it, and have it to you in no time. There's no job too big or small for Logos. That's Logos in Gearing.
Let's take a peek at your weekend community calendar brought to you by Riverstone Bank. The community calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. We're local and we love our community.
You deserve to have a building that will last for generations. With more than 110 years of experience and thousands of satisfied customers, Morton Buildings is the industry leader you can trust. If you're planning for a garage, farm shop, horse barn, storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, there's no better time to buy. Contact your local Morton sales office or visit mortonbuildings.com to get started today.
At Platte Valley Bank, we want to help you take advantage of every adventure. We know you have plans, goals, and dreams. Let us help you with them. Whether you are just starting the business you have always imagined or looking to grow your existing one, we have a business loan to fit your needs. Stop in and see us at Platte Valley Bank and let us help make your dreams a reality. You belong here. Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And finally tonight, one of the Panhandle's most heartwarming holiday events is taking place this weekend. The Shop with a Cop program features 100 students from 12 area schools to go out to Walmart with a law enforcement officer to buy Christmas gifts for a family member. Gering Police Captain Jason Rogers says this community-oriented activity is one he looks forward to every time it comes around.
Our first group goes out roughly 8 o'clock in the morning after the check-in process, and we're just excited. You know, we couldn't do it last year for a number of logistical reasons, but we're excited to get back at it. We're excited to take these kids shopping again.
Rogers says that funding for this event comes from local donors, private individuals, and area businesses. Things kick off tomorrow morning at the Hampton Inn at 8 a.m. and will run until about 4 p.m. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday.